Hi, you guys. I'm here with my friend Marivelle, and she's one of the founders of a nonprofit organization that I heard about it. And because of the mission, because of the mission that they have, I felt compelled to talk to her because I felt that our hearts are connecting some matter in some point. So I'm gonna let her talk to you, and I'm gonna let her
Thank you so
pass the
much.
ball to her and like let her explain and give us like
Mhm.
a highlight or overview actually of the organization that you guys
Oh my gosh.
started.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me,
Of
first of
course.
all.
Thank you
I'm
for
so
coming.
happy to be here. And, Hijas del Campo
Mhm.
is really just has been a heart project for us. My co-founder and I, Dorina, we founded this organization during the pandemic. So 2020, we were all at home and working from our houses. During that time, it was the fires, we had COVID happening. And the directive was be at home, have your
Mhm.
windows closed, don't have anybody go outside.
Right.
So, we're very cautious about leaving our house. But when we did leave our house, to grocery shop or whatever it was that was important that we had to do,
Mhm.
one of the things that we noticed it was that the farm workers were still out there. These are the people that were making sure that we had the food on our plates consistently day in, day out. And one of the stories that I like to say, right, was that during that time, we ran out of toilet paper,
Yes.
right?
We all remember that.
We all remember the hoarding and the hysteria around it, but what we never ran out of was food, because we had our campesinos, our farm workers, our community members, and these are our neighbors who were outside working, making sure that our communities, I mean, and remember, California serves the rest of the country, right? Not just the rest of the state.
Right,
It doesn't just take care of itself, but really this is going out to the rest of the country. And they were working diligently to make that happen. But one of the things that we noticed while they were still out there working was that they didn't have the proper PPE. And, we were really curious, right? Who's really making sure that they have access to the information that they need? I started doing my research, and Dorina was doing her own at that time too, and we hadn't known each other yet. And we post later, right? Because one of the posts that I made was, who's doing this work out in the community, right? An organization. And there wasn't an organization that was specifically working with the farm workers here in our county. And so we just started doing, getting together. And, there were other people who said, we want to get this out to
Wow.
community, but we can't do it ourselves. So we had people coming and delivering donations to our house, and volunteers who were coming out just like we were. And we would go out and actually deliver all of
Wow.
the things that were being given to us. But the thing about that moment that was so important was that we knew that this was a touch point that we
Mhm.
weren't going to get again, right? So how do we actually understand what our farm workers need while they're working out there? And that's asking those questions, right?
Mhm.
What is it that you need? What is it else other than PPE
Mhm.
and the medical? Like, what else do you need? And that's when it was just like peeling back an onion and really understanding
Mhm.
the big discrepancies
Yeah.
between the
What is your
access of
background?
information.
What is your background? Did you guys
Yeah.
used to like
Yeah.
how did you come from like staying working at home and then coming like and coming all with these ideas and all this
Yeah.
like new stuff?
Right.
How did that
Right.
come from?
Well, I'm a very proud Mexican American woman. My
Okay.
parents came here from Mexico, and one of their first jobs was working in the fields in Hollister. And, their story started in the fields, and then they ended up moving to Oakland, where I was born and raised. But my parents' story, right, being a Mexican woman in this country, understanding that farm work was a part of their story. My uncle working in Delano, as a farm worker, my family having these ties with this community. I look at our farm workers here in Contra Costa and I see my parents. I see their journey. I see their story. And it's me paying that forward, right? It's Dorina paying that forward for her father who worked in the fields. And that's why this is so important for us. And we've always been proud of our community, our culture, and it's a sense of pride for us, and even more now with everything that's happening
Right, right.
with the current political
Mhm,
context,
mhm,
right? But
mhm.
that's why this was so important for us, because it's always been important for us. We show up, and I'm a Mexican American woman, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of our story. And that's why this was particularly something that we knew we had to do. Because if it wasn't already being done, then we were the ones that were going to do it. And 5 years later, we're here.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. So 5 years later, you guys started at the pen like 2020.
2020.
So
yeah, we just celebrated our 5th
that's
anniversary.
amazing.
Yeah, in October, and we had this beautiful dinner at Frog Hollow Farm. They're an amazing farm here in Brentwood here. Excuse me. And we had this beautiful dinner celebration that one of our very close friends in Campesina, she makes this amazing mole.
Ooh.
Yes. She doesn't make it all the time, but when she does, it's like a fast seller. But we were able to celebrate in community with people who have really helped us get to this point, this North Star that we were talking about, that mission.
That mission.
Yeah.
The mission driven.
Yeah.
And with you guys, so there was how many founders are there?
So there's 2 of us.
2 of you guys?
Yes.
And both of you guys are
Yes,
Latinos? With
Mexican American women whose parents, were immigrants.
Yeah. And both parents, like yours and the other founder, work in the campo, or?
Yes, it was a part of their story before they ended up moving. But it was what helped them start in this country before they moved to, I was born and raised in Oakland.
Right.
I'm a city girl as well, right? So, but I love it all. That's like a part of me. That's part of my culture.
One of the things that I saw on your website, I was doing a little bit of research, and because I didn't want to look at too much because I wanted you to tell me more about it. But I was like looking that you
an
guys
element of surprise.
Like, oh, tell me about that. But you guys have different programs that you have available for immigrants, or let me rephrase this. Do you guys work with anybody else that's not from the campo? Like any immigrants that need like the help or the resources?
So our main goal is to work with the farm workers, but we don't turn people away. One of our things, and one of the way that we work is if people are coming to us and they need support, how do we get them either connected to an organization that does that work specifically, or if we need to figure it out, we'll figure it out and how we can help them. But we know that accessing, even going to ask for help is really hard for people. So then to shut your door on them because they're not in your mission statement is also very difficult. Like we don't want to do that to people. But how can we get them to the proper resources to help with whatever they need?
And how many associations you guys have like supporting you, like behind you, supporting all of that? If you can tell me like a little bit more of the support that you guys get and where you get that support from.
Well, when you mean support, like from like partner organizations, so we partner with some amazing organizations. When we first started our organization and before we were even a 501c3, we were actually sponsored by the California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation, so CRLAF, which was also an organization that was founded by farm workers, children of farm workers who now went into the legal field, right? So we can count on organizations like that. Contra Costa Health Services is a big partner of ours. We've partnered a lot with EHSD. We've had some amazing support throughout our short time. Yeah.
And do you guys, when you guys go to the farm, like if you go to the campo, like, when you go see the farmers, what is the most, like one of the videos that I watched you guys do, or at the time when you guys had the pandemic, it was like they didn't have masks.
Yeah.
Right? So now putting that aside, passing that, what is the most, I would say most, because like there's needs anyway.
Right.
But
and
what
they're
is
constantly
there's constantly changing, right? So, but right now, if there's anything that somebody can help with or do, like what is the most that you guys are looking for? What is the availability that somebody can help you with? Like,
oh gosh, I mean, obviously, however people can show up to support, we're always open for that. Food is still our number one biggest program. Ironically, like the people who pick the food have the hardest time putting it on their own plate.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we have our Despensa program, and we have well over 500 families that we support, both that live in Contra Costa, but also that live in San Joaquin County.
Okay.
Because as you know, the way the nature of farm working is, right? We have people coming in from all over that are working our fields, also giving back to our economy. Right? These are all people helping us here in Contra Costa. And so I would say the number one thing is food. access to food, programs for the youth, so for kids of campesinos, and housing. As you know, housing is such
It's
a
very hard.
is such a tough thing, especially when you make a certain income, right? What does that look like for people
Mhm.
if you don't have proper credit, if you don't have a savings, right? Even if you wanted to rent a first month, last month, it's a lot. It's a
Mhm.
lot for people. And then people getting priced out. It's really difficult.
Mhm.
So we have a program for each of those things. You know, we run 5 programs right now
Okay.
with Hijas del Campo. So it's our food program, our
Mhm.
educational program. We have a housing program that's in its pilot stages. We have healthcare, of course, bridging the gap and
Mhm.
access to healthcare for people. And then, of course, you know, supporting people getting access to equitable representation.
Mhm. That's very
Right.
important. Uh, if you don't mind going more into details on the programs that you guys have,
Yeah.
the ones that you mentioned over the food program.
Yeah.
How about the the
Yeah.
educational program for the
Yeah.
kids, especially?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
that's where my one of my
oh,
hearts, lay
yeah.
on is like the kids and all the help that they
Yeah.
need and all the
Yeah.
situations that they go through because of the situation that the parents are going through.
Yeah.
So a little more into details for me,
Of
like what do you
course.
guys do and what is available for the kids?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking that. I will say with food, we have an amazing partnership with the Food Bank of Contra
Oh,
Costa,
okay.
with White Pony Express, and also Loaves and Fishes. Loaves and Fishes, they're the 3 amazing organizations that are
Mhm.
here that we partner very closely with. So I didn't want to move forward from food without shouting
Mentioning,
them out
yeah,
because
yeah,
they're
that's
amazing.
amazing. Yeah.
And so education was a really big deal for us because we know being first generation Mexican American children, right? Access to education, how important it is,
Mhm.
right? My dad had, I think, went up to first grade. And then he was like, that was it, right? He worked in the ranch and that's what he wanted to do in Mexico until he came back. You know, my mom, I think, went up to middle school, right? So, why education is so important is because we have an amazing opportunity.
Mhm.
And how do we support the children of farm workers? And so we do that in a few different ways.
Okay.
So we have our Lunch and Learn program,
Okay.
and we actually partner with 2 high schools right now. So we go into those high schools and we bring business professionals who come from backgrounds like ours, right? If you see yourself in a particular role or you see somebody who looks like you, comes from a background like you, it's more attainable. It's something that you can actually say, wow, I think I can do that, right? And
Mhm.
here's this person who I met who could potentially be a mentor,
Right.
right? Let me talk to this person. How did you get to where you are now? What did that
Mhm.
road look like for
Uh-huh.
you to get from point A to point Z? Well, I'd say point S maybe because it's a never finish line, right?
Right.
And so we bring in those mentors, and they're amazing mentors. So we have that program in 2 local high schools, and we're actually taking that program to 2 migrant camps.
Oh, okay.
One in French camp, and then which launched this year, this school year, and then we'll be doing an additional migrant camp in the 26-27 school year.
Okay.
So we're ramping up.
Sorry for my ignorance on this subject.
No,
What do you call like a migrant camp? What is that like?
yeah, a farm
So,
worker migrant
okay.
camp is a housing camp.
Oh,
A
okay.
housing camp. And so this is migrant and seasonal farm worker housing.
Okay.
And it's where, our farm workers live, but it's only opened, I think they move in March. And so they live there all the way up until I think the end of October or early November, and then they
Okay.
move out, which is also, I know that at a state level, they're also doing a survey to see if that's still right? How our farm workers are they migrating for work?
Mhm.
Are they staying more local for work? What does the housing have to adapt to in order to really take care of
Mhm.
the farm worker?
And the people that are coming and migrating, are they coming from other countries? Are they coming from other counties
Mm.
or
The
like
people that work in our
yes,
county?
uh-huh.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. We get people here in Contra Costa that come. We've met people that have come as far as like Mexicali who are
Oh,
coming up,
wow.
right? We have met people who come from like Mariposa County, right? Like there's people that are coming in from all over the state to work in Contra Costa.
And why Contra Costa? There was no
It
like
just depends,
okay.
right? Contra Costa has some amazing vegetables and fruit that come out of this county, right? And
Okay.
so they come in and either it's high season when they're actually picking the fruit. There's so many different levels to the work, to the farm work. But that's when you'll see them most is during the high season, when people are coming in from out of town.
Okay.
Cherries. We have some of the best
Right, right, right,
cherries.
right. That's a
Corn
that's a big
season is
season.
a
Yeah.
big season. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
That's
and
amazing.
and a few others
I
that are
know. That's awesome. That's awesome to
yeah.
to
Yeah.
know that people are like, and I what I love about is that you
Yeah.
guys are supporting all those people that are coming
Yeah.
in. They have the support. They
In
have
one moment or another, yeah. Even if, let's say, we don't have this long-standing relationship, but
uh-huh.
how are we making those touch points valuable? And whether it's giving them information about workers' rights,
Uh-huh.
these are your rights as a worker, which is really important because people think sometimes whether if you're undocumented, you don't
Right,
have
right, right,
rights, but you
right.
do,
You do.
right? Both from the state of California, from the Department of Labor, but also the Constitution gives us rights
Right.
within this
And
country.
that's one of the things that my heart went was like that because
Yeah,
we also
yeah,
being a real estate agent and working, like I said, the team that I
yeah.
work with that has that mentality to
Yeah,
support the underserved,
yeah,
and it's about
yeah,
education. It's about telling them
100%.
and letting them know that there
Right.
are benefits to
Yeah,
being here, to know, and
yeah,
you have the rights to
right,
know that. And some people are like, yeah,
right,
I don't want to know, or I
right.
didn't know I could do that. I
Exactly.
didn't know I could have health insurance. I didn't know I could do that.
Right,
So
right.
it's low. Is there was a big gap between like them
Mhm.
being here and working in here, knowing that
Yeah.
they have their rights and they can do stuff like that.
Yes,
So yeah,
exactly.
I.
And those kinds of things give back to our economy, right?
Mhm.
These are people who aren't asking for anything for free.
Right.
They're literally giving back to our economy, right? And giving back to the very fabric of our community, of our neighborhoods, of the culture,
Mhm.
right? And so that's why it's also so important. Let's support each other.
Right.
Access to healthcare is one of those, which is actually changing for Medi-Cal. The state of California passed a new budget,
Oh, okay.
and this is because of some of the federal cuts that were
Mhm,
happening.
mhm.
And actually, January 1st, undocumented community members aren't going to qualify for Medi-Cal, which is something we fought for and we've had now for a couple of years. And now they're going to take it away from us. And so those are the kinds of things that are really sad for us
Mhm.
because, we've seen how many lives access to medical coverage, you know, has changed their lives for the better. So it's a sad reality that's coming down the pipeline, but we're really grateful to be able to be advocates because I think that's one of the things that we also bring to the table,
Mhm.
Doreen and I and our team, advocating for those rights for people to have those kinds of resources and then having amazing partnerships with like our local, county health service.
Mhm.
It makes a big deal. Yeah.
And you touch about the so we touch about the food
Oh,
education.
education, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so and we've even have amazing partnerships, right? We partner with Lenovo and we're
Okay.
actually we are able to bridge the access of technology. We all know having access to a computer at home to for a child to do their homework is a big deal, right? We're not saying to play video
Right.
games,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
We're
Yeah.
saying to actually be able to research, to study,
Uh-huh.
work on a project. These are the things that are really important. And so that's why we're so grateful for Lenovo because we're actually able to get laptops to
Oh
families
wow.
who couldn't get, those kinds of resources before.
Mhm.
And we're able to do that. This has been our 5th year that we did it. So we always do it at the start of the school year. And we're able to get, this year we did about 25 families that we
Oh
were able
wow.
to get new computers for. So
Oh, awesome.
yeah,
And how
yeah,
do you guys do the processing? Like, let's
yeah.
say, how do you like? I don't know. I don't want to word the word. I don't want to use the word choose
Right, right.
because it's a different situation. But how you choose the people that are like going to
Mhm.
be benefit by that type of resource?
Yeah. Oh gosh, we have a really close relationship with our families. We
Okay.
have a list where our families are able to sign up. But one of the things that we do is when we first meet families that we actually do a survey, right?
Okay.
Okay, what is it that you need at home? How are things happening, right? Where are those gaps that maybe we can either fill or we can figure out how to fill? And
Okay.
then that's kind of how we get to the
Okay.
point,
So the process
of
goes like that. Okay.
yeah,
And
yeah.
how do you get to meet these people? How do you get to meet the families that you guys are so close to?
Oh gosh. So when we first started, we would go to the fields, right?
Okay.
We still do, right? It's like one of our favorite things is we don't expect people to come to us. We go to people. And that's a way that you have to really like I feel like to have that mindset switch is I'm a resource, you need to come to
Uh
me.
huh.
No, right? People have a lot of barriers. So how do we actually break those barriers down? And let's get to our community. And so field outreach is a very big thing for us. Now we have community health workers that work for us, and they're absolutely amazing. And so they're the ones going out to the fields, taking resources,
Uh-huh.
right? Even taking food, the things that we get donated by community, right? Whether it's backpacks, or whether it's, sun hats, or, back braces or hand braces, like gloves, like whatever we get from community, then we take
You
that
guys
out to
take
the
that out.
fields. Hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, and that's how we build those relationships.
Mhm.
And we've had some of those relationships now for 5 years, right? And they're very strong. And what's great about that is then they refer us to their coworkers. We pride ourselves in being a safe space and being a space that is going to fight for them.
Mhm.
So,
That's amazing. I love it. Like I said, I
yeah.
searched a little bit, but I didn't want to know a lot because I was like, I
Yeah.
want you to tell me more because I know that I see the passion and I see the
Yeah.
drive on it. So it's like,
Yeah.
I can read all of that online, but
Yeah.
I don't want to. I want to make sure that I get it from you.
Right, right.
And
Yeah,
then I
thank
think
you.
we touch bases on all the
Okay.
programs, but the housing.
Housing. So when we first started, and it was during the pandemic, and we realized, okay, people need food, right?
Mhm.
Like, so we couldn't, deliver from one space, and at that point, we didn't have our offices. So we had to figure out how was it that we were getting food to everybody's houses without, bringing and exposing people.
Right.
So we would get together, we would get volunteers together, and we would drive it to everybody's homes. That's how we saw. And we were driving all the way through East Contra Costa, all the way through, San Joaquin, right? We're looking at Stockton, Lodi, and all of the towns in between, and delivering to people's homes. And that's when we were seeing the difference in how some people were living, right? Have people living in old trailers that are maybe from the 70s, the 80s,
Wow.
that have no heating, there's no air conditioning, there's no insulation into some of these trailers, multiple people living in one trailer. And we knew had to be a way for us to find a solution for
Mhm.
this. And also, how do we advocate for this? It just so happened that at one point we had Professor Chris Walsh, and he's an amazing professor, and he was teaching at Carondelet High School
Okay.
at that time. And it was building for social change. And it was literally having the Carondelet High School girls build from the start to finish a tiny home.
Oh, wow.
And he wanted it to go to somebody in our backyard that was needing a home like that. And he thought about the farm workers. And so brought us into this incredible project, and we got to meet these incredible students who learned how to do a blueprint of a tiny home, and
That's
actually like
incredible.
then started building it, like some who had never even picked up a hammer before, right? And started doing all of these things. And they would interview us, what does a day look like in a farm worker? What would the end of a day, what would they need in their
Mhm.
home? But yeah, so they gifted us this tiny home that we brought, and we have a tenant living in it. And so we were like, how do we do this? How do we get more tiny homes,
Right,
right?
right,
And
right.
how are we able to really say, look, here are these old trailers. How do we replace the old trailers,
Mhm.
right? Because as you know, building a home is not easy,
Right.
nor is it a fast turnaround. Um, there are processes and permits and all of these
Everything.
things. Yeah, even testing, the dirt where you're going to be. Like,
Right.
there's so many aspects to it. And so the tiny home has been a really good route for us. We have 4 tiny homes now, and it's been a really interesting pilot project for us to really figure out how do we potentially scale this,
Uh-huh.
so we can work with other, farm partners who have maybe trailers, on their property for their employees,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
How do we make those trailers into nicer homes? Our farm workers deserve, they deserve proper housing,
Right.
right?
For sure.
Yeah. I
Everybody
mean, look how
deserves.
cold it is right now.
Right. That's
It has
when
been
you said no heating, I was
41.
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's been like 41 degrees. And I've heard that and obviously it's been colder, right? It's like 30 degrees at night. It's so cold. And so how are we able to actually take those units and do something that's nicer for them? So
When the tiny house that you guys get,
yeah,
like, are all those the first? It was a pilot program
yes.
from the.
So we got the first one
Okay.
from the
Yeah,
gals.
I want to make sure that you get it.
Yes.
Tell me how you got
And
the other
then,
ones.
yeah, and then so then the other three, there was Senator Glazer,
Oh, okay.
who came to visit our first tiny home and understood the need,
Oh, that's amazing.
understood the need and trusted us and was able to get us funding from the state of California. So that way we can get more tiny homes. And it's been beautiful, it's been beautiful. And we're still working on trying to get more funding,
Right.
and you have to find all different avenues for funding, whether it's from the county or the state, to figure that out. But we are not developers. And this is a whole new world that is like, yeah, it's been a wonderful learning.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
for sure.
we need more people to get
Yeah.
involved in that part of the process too. So,
Yes.
like, we need
Yes.
to get people to see the need.
Yeah.
And that's another question I was going to ask you.
Like funding donations for more tiny homes would be amazing. We started partnering with our CAC, and they're helping us with the technical aspects of having a housing project. There's so many technical aspects, right? And we want to make sure that we're doing things the right way. And so we're counting on them for that.
Nice.
We started partnering with an organization called Home Aid. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they're great too. And they're able to work with different developers, but architects who want to also donate their time to help, right? Work on projects, right? They have a certain level of expertise, and they know that they want to give back. So Home Aid has been great too. They've done a couple projects. I think it was in Walnut Creek or San Ramon, and they did a tiny home project with a church there too. So, but funding is a big thing.
Yeah.
Our tiny homes, we were able to go to Pacifica Tiny Homes, and they build it, according to what you need. And they're beautiful structures. And so they're all local.
And then you're putting those tiny homes in
Yeah.
farms, like the
Yes.
farms that people are working on
Yes.
and stay there.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
But it's land that isn't, in production, because that's part of like the conundrum that we want to make sure like we aren't building over,
Okay.
our food system,
Uh-huh.
which is really huge, right? Housing can be an issue, but making sure that we're not building over, right? The very thing that we all need, which is our food system. And hopefully the goal, right, is that that's a stepping stone for a farm worker. And then maybe they can move into a home, right?
Right.
How do you help somebody understand what that process looks like? And that's the next
next
task.
step.
But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for taking the time talking to me. I think this is
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you
And
so much.
it's such a need that I'm going to say we, but I say myself. I don't think about it.
Right.
We don't think about it because you never, until I found you guys and until I was like, wow, I never thought they were like so close to us.
Right.
And there's so much need on it.
Yes.
And we're like, you pass by, you see people working.
Yeah.
And I was watching one of the videos also that this lady was saying that sometimes they were working and people pass by and talk trash to them.
Yeah.
And I was like, how sad is that?
Right. I mean, what does that have to say? That these are the people that are making sure you have food on your plate, and this is how you're treating them.
It's unbelievable to me.
And it's a story that needs to be told, right? The history of East Contra Costa is not just the owners of the farms, but it's the campesinos who have been here there are some who have been here for multiple generations now, who have made sure that this farmland, right? They are experts. They are the ones that understand. And they also, tell this history and this beautiful story of what makes our community so great. It's the farm workers.
That's awesome.
So,
well, like I said, thank you for taking the time and talking
to me.
This is amazing.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I wanted you to make sure that you do a shout out, tell me something like if we wanted to help, if you wanted to get involved, what is like a website or like go talking to you guys, whatever it needs to be done so we can get involved in this, because this is an amazing project. So
thank you so much, Sandra. I can talk to you forever.
Oh, let's do it. Let's
Well,
keep going.
I know people can reach out. You can find our website at hijasdelcampo.org. So that's www.hijasdelcampo.org. Our email is info@hijasdelcampo.org, or you can call us at 925-384-2431. We are always looking for donations, whether that be food itself, or if people want to donate things like sun hats or any sort of material that a farm worker can use and actually put on to make their job easier, then we'll accept those as well. And of course, like monetary donations, we're always open for. We're a 501c3, so we're an official nonprofit.
Let's pretend I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Let's pretend I don't know.
That we are an official nonprofit through the state of California, the Attorney General. So if anybody wanted to donate, we can also get them a letter of donation, which also works for them to show, hey, we donated to Hijas del Campo this certain amount, right? So we're also able to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, I love the name of it.
Thank you.
My Spanish is not existent almost.
Yes.
But I'm from Brazil originally, so
Portuguese.
Portuguese
yes.
like that. Where it goes to. But I love the Hija del Campo. It comes to like I said, to the heart.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is what you guys are representing.
It's our story.
Yeah, it's your story.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you guys are proud of your story, proud of like where you came from. And the new generation, I want to like say, don't forget where you came from. I came from Brazil 36 years ago with no English in my vocabulary. And I've been here and I learned and I made, my life here. But I always, and I have a daughter, and I tell her, like, do not forget where we came from.
Exactly.
She was born here.
Yeah.
But I say, we came here because trying to make it better. So I tell the new generation, don't forget where your parents came from. Don't forget where you came from, because that's very important. And that's, the fact that you guys are really proud. And I appreciate you, like I said, taking the time and just telling your story to us. And we can do this again if you want to.
Round 2.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.